I never believed in the supernatural. That was until the day I met a stranger on the road who knew my darkest secret, before I even spoke a word. It all started on a late autumn evening, as I was driving home after a long day at work. The road was empty. The only sound was the hum of the engine. But then, out of nowhere, a figure appeared on the side of the road. I slammed on the brakes, my heart racing. He was tall, with a rugged face and piercing eyes that seemed to look right through me. I thought he was a hitchhiker at first, but then something about him felt wrong. There was a strange aura around him, as though he wasn't entirely of this world. I rolled down the window to ask if he needed help. And then, as if reading my mind, he said, "You're wondering how I know your secret." My breath caught in my throat. How did he know? No one else knew about the secret I buried so deep. My mind raced, my pulse quickened. Was he a stalker? Or was there something more to him? Before I could ask, he turned and walked away into the night, disappearing as mysteriously as he had arrived. The encounter left me shaken, questioning everything I thought I knew about the world. The strange man's words echoed in my mind for days. How could he have known? My secret was something so dark, so twisted, I hadn't shared it with anyone, not even my closest friends. It was a memory I had buried deep inside, something I didn't ever want to face again. It was a night from years ago, one I tried to forget, but it always haunted me. I had been involved in an accident. Not just any accident, but one that had cost a life. The guilt of it weighed on me every single day, but no one ever suspected me. I had been a passenger in the car, but the driver was the one who took the fall. That was how I escaped the consequences, or so I thought. The weight of that night, though, never left me. It kept me awake at night, wondering what would have happened if the truth had come out. Would I have been blamed? Would my life have been ruined? But the stranger, he seemed to know everything. The thought of him, standing there on the side of the road, knowing something so personal, terrified me. I couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't just some random person. No, he knew something about that night, and I had to know why. That night, after the encounter with the stranger, I couldn't sleep. My mind was consumed with thoughts of him, and I began to wonder if he was just a figment of my imagination. But then I had a dream. It was so vivid, so real, that when I woke up in a cold sweat, I wasn't sure if I had dreamed it or if it had actually happened. In the dream, I was back on the road where I had met the stranger. The scene was identical to the night I had seen him, except this time, I was alone in the car, driving the same route. The road was dark, the air thick with tension. Suddenly, the stranger appeared again, but this time he didn't speak. Instead, he simply pointed to something in the distance. I followed his gaze and saw a figure in the distance, someone familiar. It was the driver from that night, the person who had taken the fall for the accident. But something was wrong. Their face was distorted, twisted in a way that made my stomach churn. And then, the figure vanished. I woke up, heart racing, feeling as though the dream had been a warning. What did it mean? Was the stranger somehow connected to the accident? Or was it all just a manifestation of my guilt? Unable to shake the haunting images from my dream, I decided to do some research. I started by searching for any information I could find about the stranger I had encountered. His appearance was so vivid in my mind that I couldn't forget the details. But despite my best efforts, there was no trace of him. No news reports, no missing persons, nothing that could explain his sudden appearance. I became obsessed, scouring local forums and speaking to people who lived near the road where we had met. No one had seen anyone matching his description. Some even said I was imagining it all. But deep down, I knew it wasn't just a figment of my imagination. The fact that he knew my secret, the one I had kept buried for so long, was far too real to be a coincidence. Then, something strange happened. I received an anonymous letter in the mail. It had no return address, but inside was a single sentence written in bold, messy handwriting. "The truth will find you, whether you're ready or not." That was when I realized the stranger wasn't done with me yet. The letter left me shaken, but it also sparked something inside me, a need to understand the true nature of the stranger. Who was he? Why did he know about the accident? The more I thought about it, the more I realized that there had to be some connection between him and that fateful night. I started to retrace my steps from that evening, visiting the site of the accident, hoping it might hold some answers. The memory of the crash still haunted me, but I forced myself to stand at the same spot where the car had rolled over. Nothing had changed. The road was quiet, the same as it had been all those years ago. But something felt off. The air seemed heavier, thicker than usual. It was as though the past was alive, waiting to reveal itself. As I walked along the road, I noticed something strange. There was a small, weathered sign at the edge of the woods, something I hadn't seen before. It read, "Danger, do not enter." But the way the sign was positioned, half hidden by overgrown shrubs, made it feel as though someone wanted to keep people away from whatever lay beyond it. I felt a chill run down my spine. Could this be connected to the stranger? Did he know something about this place that I didn't? After my visit to the site, I became increasingly paranoid. Everywhere I went, I felt like someone was watching me. It was as if the stranger's presence lingered, waiting just beyond the corner of my vision. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being led down a path I didn't want to follow. A week later, as I was walking home from work, I saw him again. The stranger. This time, he was standing near the same spot where we had met the first time. My heart skipped a beat as I approached him, unsure whether I should confront him or turn and run. He didn't say a word at first. Instead, he simply looked at me with those piercing eyes, as though he was searching my soul. Finally, he spoke. "You don't understand, do you? The truth is closer than you think." Before I could respond, he turned and walked away, disappearing into the shadows once more. His words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. What truth was he talking about? Was it about the accident? Or was it something even darker, something I had yet to uncover? I knew one thing for sure. The stranger was no ordinary man. And whatever secret he knew about me, it was far more dangerous than I had ever imagined. As the days went on, the feeling of being watched only grew stronger. I couldn't escape the memory of the stranger's eyes, the weight of his words, and the sensation that I was on the brink of discovering something terrible. But what? I felt like I was being pulled into a mystery that was too big for me to handle. One night, I had another unsettling vision. This time, it wasn't a dream. It was a waking vision. I was sitting at home, trying to distract myself with a book, when suddenly everything around me blurred. The room felt as though it was spinning, and before I knew it, I was back on that same road, the road where I had met the stranger. But something was different. The scene was darker, more twisted. There were flashes of distorted faces in the trees, shadows moving in unnatural ways. And then, in the distance, I saw the stranger standing at the edge of the woods, beckoning me to come closer. I tried to scream, to call out for help, but my voice wouldn't come. I was frozen in place, unable to move as the vision grew more intense. The last thing I saw before everything went black was the stranger's face, twisted into a sinister grin. When I woke up, I was back in my living room, my heart pounding in my chest. What had just happened? Had I truly seen something, or had it all been in my head? One thing was clear, whatever I was experiencing was far beyond anything I had ever encountered. I knew I had to go back. The vision, the stranger's warnings, they were too much to ignore. There was something at the edge of that road, something that needed to be uncovered. Maybe the accident had been more than just an accident. Maybe there were forces at play that I didn't understand, forces that had been watching me all along. I began to dig into the history of the road, the area where the accident had taken place. I discovered that it had a long history of unexplained events. People had gone missing there, strange occurrences had been reported, and the land had a dark reputation dating back to the early 1900s. Local legend spoke of a curse that haunted the area, and some even claimed that the road was a portal to another world. The more I uncovered, the more I realized that my encounter with a stranger was no coincidence. There was a connection between the past and present, between the accident and the mysterious figure who seemed to know everything about me. But what was that connection? What was he trying to tell me? The answers seemed just out of reach, but I was determined to find them. I had to know the truth, no matter how terrifying it might be. As I continued my research, I stumbled upon something chilling, something that would change everything. The locals spoke of a portal, a rift in time and space that had been discovered near the site of the accident. It was said to be a gateway to another realm, a place where the past and present collided, where lost souls were trapped forever. Could the stranger be one of those souls? Or was he a guide, leading me towards something I was meant to find? I didn't know, but I couldn't ignore the growing sense of urgency. The portal was real, and if I didn't uncover its secrets, I feared I would never escape the nightmare that had begun with that chance encounter on the road. Determined, I returned to the site once again, this time with a sense of purpose. I was ready to face whatever waited for me. But as I stepped onto the road, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was walking straight into the unknown, where every step could be my last. As I approached the edge of the woods where the portal was said to be, I felt a strange pull. It was as if the earth itself was calling me. My heart raced, and my breath came in short gasps. I stepped closer, and that's when I saw him again, the stranger. He was standing by the trees, waiting for me. "You finally come," he said, his voice low and almost reverent. I asked him, "What is this place? Why do you keep appearing to me?" The stranger smiled, but it wasn't a comforting smile. "You've been chosen. The accident you caused, it wasn't just an accident. It was the key to the portal." Before I could respond, the ground beneath me shifted. The trees parted, revealing a swirling vortex of light and shadow. The portal, it was real. And the stranger, he wasn't just a man. He was a keeper of the portal, a guide to those who stumbled upon it. And I had been one of them. I stood at the edge of the portal, my mind racing. The truth had been revealed. The accident, the stranger, the visions, they were all connected to this place, this rift in reality. But what did it mean for me? Was I meant to cross over, to step into another world? The stranger's eyes met mine. "If you step through, you may never return," he warned. "The choice is yours." I hesitated, unsure of what awaited me on the other side. The pull of the portal was strong, but I didn't know if I was ready to face whatever lay beyond it. What would I find there? Could I escape my past? Or would I be trapped in a nightmare forever? Taking a deep breath, I stepped forward. I crossed through the portal and found myself in a place that defied logic. The air was thick with a strange energy, and the world around me seemed to shift and change with every step I took. There were no familiar landmarks, only a vast, barren landscape stretching as far as the eye could see. I was no longer sure if I was alive or dead. Had I crossed into another realm? Or was this some kind of purgatory? The stranger appeared once again, his form shimmering in the ethereal light. "This is a place where lost souls are trapped," he explained. "You weren't meant to be here, but your actions brought you to this point. Now you must face the consequences." As I wandered through this strange, otherworldly landscape, I saw flashes of my past. Memories I had tried to bury resurfaced. Memories of the accident, the guilt, the lies. I couldn't escape them. Everywhere I looked, the past was staring back at me. I realized then that the stranger wasn't here to hurt me. He was here to help me face what I had done, to make peace with the consequences of my actions. It was time to stop running from the truth. The longer I stayed in the other realm, the more I understood. This was not a place of punishment. It was a place of healing. I had been given a chance to confront my past, to accept what I had done and seek redemption. The stranger was my guide, showing me the way. With time, I began to forgive myself. The guilt that had plagued me for so long started to fade. And when I was finally ready, the portal reappeared. It was time to return. When I stepped back into the real world, I felt different. The weight that had hung over me for years was gone. I had faced my darkest secret, and I had found peace. The stranger was gone, but I knew I would never forget him. He had shown me the path to redemption. And as I walked away, I realized something. Sometimes, facing our darkest secret is the only way to find the light. This story is brought to you by Harmony Publishing, who is one of the top self-publishing companies out there. They make publishing easy, professional, and affordable. Just check the description for more information about them.